Hey, dailies across the world. I'm so glad you could join for another special edition of the Driven Daily Show. My name is Randall, and today we always promise you that we're going to keep you driven on a daily, hence the show name Driven Daily. Now, today I've got a special guest. She's a mom. She's the founder of Blue Nile. She claims to be, and I'm going to inquire about this, a soul entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together and let's welcome Fantanesh Attomsa. Come on.
Yay!
Oh man, I remember the first time meeting you, and we're not going to bore the guests with how I met you, but this was interesting. We met through a mutual friend, DJ Henry. Shout out to you, doing his thing here in Halifax, and he said, Randall, he was DJing at a kind of a little bit of a lounge restaurant, and he said, Randall, have you met my friend, Fantanesh? I said, no, I never. He said, she's sitting over there. I'm not sure if she'd like to meet you or whatever the case. So I went over to you. We had a cordial chat. I'm not sure if you knew I was coming over or what was the deal. Share with me, what was your experience like?
No, I think I saw Henry just chatting with you, and I was like, he looks like, he's new in town, and I was just curious, like, what you were about, and just like to get to know you. So I kind of put the bug in Henry's ear, like, introduce me to your friend. And he did. And it was my birthday that evening. And yeah, I remember you came over and chatted with us for a bit, and we got to know you a little bit more, and I've been following you on Instagram ever since.
Likewise. Man, oh man. You realize Halifax is really small, eh?
Yeah.
And it's a case of where you can really, when small places, you can really build a reputation very quick or destroy one really quickly as well.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. No, the way you responded to that made me think, there's a lot to that response right there. Eh?
I mean, yes, like once you kind of get into the circles and kind of get into the age groups, you start to get a sense of who's around, who's doing what. And it's great for, building connections and building networks if you ever need to, just get a service or lean into, like, if you need a professional for something, if you're trying to do something, trying to know, who's who can support you on the journey. Yeah. But it's actually funny when you mentioned Blue Nile. I do still have Blue Nile, but we had to go through a rebrand because we went through some dramatic changes in business. Okay. So my new company name is Sacred Lotus Holistic Wellness. And so Blue Nile was my baby, and everyone knew me as Blue Nile. And that's kind of how I got into the entrepreneur world. Okay. But definitely, ran into some challenges that stretched me and my business, and pretty like publicly, like in the community. And then, and so we had to transition out, and, and then everybody just knows. And I did actually share it on my social media, and I had to share it on my podcast. But yeah, it's like, it was definitely a transition where I felt like there was a lot of expectation around me as an entrepreneur, me as a Black woman entrepreneur, kind of setting the stage and being the example, or being an example. And there was a lot of people that were congratulating me and telling me how much I inspired them when we had our commercial space, and then having to transition out, it just, I felt like a bit of a letdown at that time. Like, obviously it's in my head, everyone was so super supportive, but as far as, kind of being like a leader in the community and kind of setting the stage for what's possible, we had to like give up the commercial space and let go of our staff, and all these things were happening. And so the community knew about it. So when you're talking about reputation and how everybody kind of knows, we had to kind of rebuild and go through that whole process. Yeah.
You know what? We went straight into it right now, and I don't want to move too quickly away from this because I think it just feels right to be on this topic right now.
Mhm.
Fantanesh, how are you dealing with it right? Like, how are you right now?
How am I right now?
Yeah.
I feel like I am in a better space as far as entrepreneurship goes. I've kind of taken a step back so that I can, redefine my purpose in the entrepreneurial world and in kind of this space. Um, and I'm still kind of in this transition. I'm still kind of figuring out this new brand, how I can best show up in my business, how I can best support people in the business. But I'm certainly very humbled by the process,
Mhm.
and also giving myself a lot of grace and just still in this transition. Still in this transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I can feel like there's it's almost like starting over again in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, however, it's interesting because I know that you've have established a brand with Blue now, and of course, I'm sure you still have the people that followed you, and your clientele and whatever from Blue now falling over to Sacred Lotus. So it sounds like Blue now was the baby. Sacred Lotus is now the adult. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, or the sibling, the little sibling of Blue
Yes.
Nile.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking about siblings, how's the family doing in the
Oh,
family?
they're beautiful. Like the twins are just like thriving. We're already kind of planning for what age four is gonna look like for them.
Okay.
Um, which is crazy to think that they're going to be 4 years old this year. They're just full of energy. Not identical twins, but twins that
Okay.
born at the same time, same day, same womb, but completely
Man,
different.
for those that would like to know how does one have twins, can you share with us the secret? Because she knows the secret. Apparently, she has the formula. Huh?
I wish I knew. I mean,
What a blessing, eh?
oh my gosh, especially one boy, one girl. Like, what more could you ask for? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
what
Oh
more could you
man.
ask for? And then I have my 13-year-old as well, like brilliant, brilliant teenager, athletic, such a social butterfly, so handsome. He's already getting into the girls, which, is a little problematic. I'm trying to slow
Uh-oh.
him down a bit.
He's 14 years old, eh?
13. He's going to be
13.
14 very soon. Yeah.
I know, awesome, awesome. So he's becoming problematic, eh? You can see the red flags right now already, huh?
He's just too handsome for his own good.
Ah,
That's
yeah, and especially when he's tall, then okay, okay, okay. There's God has been blessing this child too much right now. Tall
um,
and handsome, huh?
and smart and athletic.
Ah,
Like,
yeah,
if I could have been like that at 13 years old, I mean, that would have been a dream for me.
You know what? If we're gonna continue talking about him, it's gonna turn into a dating show, trying to match him up with people requesting, "Hey, what is your son's location?" And no, no, it's not turning into that right now. Oh no.
I'll tell you, his phone is already full. We're trying to slow down the amount of contacts in his phone at this point.
Oh man, oh man! Everyone's probably wondering. Let's see a picture. Oh no, this is not uh, a show out of him. But no, I'm glad. I'm glad you doing. The family's doing well, and I'm glad you taking the transition from
Thank you.
Blue Nile to Sacred Lotus in
Mhm.
stride. In stride. I always find that when going through major transitions, I think of when I came to Canada and how much of a transition it was, just not physically but also emotionally. When it's almost like you're ripped away from
Ooh.
family. Now of course it was a voluntary decision, and one thing I've realized was you've got to be in contact with the people you care about the most on a regular. You
Mhm.
can't not be in contact with them. My desire, and I guess the question is, do you have a support system right now? I really hope you do in this process of transition.
Absolutely. Even, going through the decision making process of, you know, having to back out of a commercial space, having to, let go of staff, having to rebrand.
Mm,
Um, that was a lot. Like, that was a lot because when
mm,
you pour so much into, your business, this is like your passion. This is everything that you've dreamed of, is to have this clinic or have this space and have this team.
yeah.
And you take a lot of risk, financial risk, family risk, relational risk. Um, you put yourself on the line to make this dream happen, and then to see that it's not unfolding the way that you know
Mm,
you had imagined, and that you don't necessarily have the resources to keep it sustainable.
mm,
And you get to a point where you have to stop the bleeding,
yeah.
right? Like, these are really big decisions that you have to make, and I could not make them alone. I didn't necessarily speak to my friends about it or
Sure.
my family about it, um, because as an entrepreneur, they don't necessarily. I say this all the time. They don't have the same risk tolerance. They don't really understand what I
Yeah.
put on the line,
Mm,
how big of a decision this is for me.
mm,
They may not have access to the same resources that can support me, as far as business advice, or lawyers, or realtors, or whatever the case is. So
yeah.
I had to really lean into my business mentor, my business network, and I had
Yeah.
to get legal advice, and I had to kind of build a different network that I was leaning into
Mm,
during that phase. And then now that I've transitioned out, I still have an amazing support system that I lean into for more of the emotional side, which is like the friends and the,
gotcha.
spending more time with family, and things like that. But yeah, I always feel super supported. However, I do take intentional time away from everybody as well, because there's a lot of stuff that sometimes you just don't want the advice or the opinions or the influence. Like, sometimes you just
Yeah.
have to,
The noise, eh?
yeah, you just have to
Yeah.
quiet the noise and just take that time, and like, you and God, you and your heart,
Yeah.
um, just kind of work through the stuff and see really where you want to go, and how you want to make these moves.
It's interesting you describe it in this way. There's two questions I have for you just that just came up right now. It reminds me so of a passing away of a loved one, where when someone passes away and maybe somebody asks you, haven't you gotten over the passing?
Right,
I always believe it's grief is not something you get over. It's something you manage the rest of your life.
right.
And when you're talking to me now about the whole transition, it sounds like the quote unquote passing away of the Blue Nile,
Mhm.
and people is going to ask, aren't you over the situation that happened? But it's almost like grief, where no, you don't get over it. You just manage it the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah,
You
it's
know?
still a sensitive pain point always. Like,
Mhm.
because, you know, it's a relationship that you had, and people still bring it up all the time. Like, I still get clients wanting to book at the clinic. I'm like, guys, we've shut down the clinic.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still a sensitive spot, and you're right. It's just, you just manage it over time.
Yeah. When you are on the mountaintop, you have a crowd with you. When you come to the valley,
Right.
it seems to be a very lonely place. one of the advantages of that is you're able to see who was with you for you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And when you're
Yeah.
in when you're in the valley, you can kind of see, okay, you know what? The people that's with me right now are my ride or dies. Have you kind of experienced that kind of fluctuation of people in and out?
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah. Eh?
Yeah. And people come in, you know, for certain seasons and they're there, I think, sometimes just to serve a purpose or to help you through a specific area of your life or a time in your life. Um, but the valley is also a very necessary place to be in. Um, and I'm very grateful to have been through it because I think, sometimes we try to avoid it or we try to rush out of it, but there's
Mhm.
so much that can be learned in that low season or in that low space because you have to, really reflect about what is it that got me here? What were the decisions that I made? Um, was I prepared? Was I overestimating? Did I not, manage risk enough? Was I kind of living in this daydream? Um, what kind of got me to this point? And I think a lot of people do try to rush out of the valley. Um, and sometimes it is a very lonely place and a lonely stage to go through, but it is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary to be there.
No, it is. It is, and especially when one takes a big knock, and of course we are going to transition to, from this conversation to a different one. You know, when you take a big knock, and you mentioned the word tolerance before,
Mhm.
when you take a big knock, your everything takes such a punch that sometimes you become a little hesitant to do things again with so much ease or so much spontaneity. There's a level of apprehension. um
Yeah.
like how's that for you right now, just that whole space of um of risk taking?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you asked that question, um, because a part of me was like, PTSD and business adverse. Like, I'm like, will never I never wanna do business again.
Mm,
Like, that thought was definitely there.
yeah.
Um,
And not to cut you off, it sounds like that thought for many entrepreneurs is probably on their mind 24/7, especially when
Absolutely.
challenges come.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely, all the time. Like, when you have so much on the go and so much responsibility on the plate, whether or not you have people to manage, whether or not you have overhead costs, it's like this level of engagement that you have to constantly be in. You constantly have to be in creative mode. Um, there's a lot of risk with being an entrepreneur.
Mm.
Um, and and it's high stress even before the commercial space. Like it was high stress, but that commercial space added like this extra 100% more stress.
I can
Um,
imagine. I can imagine because it's in the public eye 24/7.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I really had to like do a self assessment. Like, is this even fulfilling for me anymore? Because I have so much to manage. Um, but as far as wanting to give up and this like risk tolerance, I really think that's what defines entrepreneurs is the ability to be solutions focused, solutions minded,
Mhm.
um, and also to just really never want to give up because at that point I think it would have been an appropriate decision to be like, hey, I'm done with business. Let me just, stick to this stable job. I
Mm.
have kids that I have to provide for, let me just stop taking these risks. Um, however, I I birthed 3 businesses from Blue Nile after the
Sure.
commercial space
Come
went
on. Come on. Talk your stuff. Yeah.
down. So I think my
Talk
the way
about
I see
twins.
myself.
Talk about twins again. Triplets this time, huh?
Well, yeah, they're yeah, I even opened the commercial space after I had the twins, like, and also shortly after COVID. So as
Yeah.
far as like risk tolerance, entrepreneurs are built so differently. Um, and just being like knocked down so far, but to still grow 3 businesses from that valley area,
Mm,
um, I think is a testament to uh, what being an entrepreneur is you always find a way to pivot. You always find a way to do things differently. um, you're never going to give up, but things might just look a little differently. You learn from that mistake,
yeah.
and you just never give up on a dream. Like, we're really like leading, we're being led by a dream. Like,
Mm,
it's not even a reality. We're making it a reality for ourselves, but we're being led by a possibility. There's no
mm,
guarantee of we're gonna reach this success point,
mm,
um, but we believe so much in what we're doing and what we have to offer and our ability to help people or
mm.
shift the world in some way, that we're just like risking it all constantly.
Sure.
But at this point, I don't know if I'm going to risk it all like I did, but I will take risks in a more strategic way this time.
Totally. Yeah. I
But
hear
I'm
you. I hear you. When you are talking it, and this might sound controversial, but take it in the context of how I'm going to explain it. I believe entrepreneurs have addictive personalities for the fact that they've got to be so obsessed with one thing. It's almost like you have to have some sort of an addiction or an obsession. Maybe addiction is not the wrong word, or not the right word, but you have to be in a space of you want something so bad you'll do anything and everything. Um, when I hear you speak and when I just look at you, you don't sound like someone that is, is someone that is very, very. You seem very calm,
Mhm.
you seem like an empath, very empathetic. You,
Mhm.
you seem very much like a people's person. It's very much that A-type USA kind of bullish, but you very calm, very, very empathic. Like, what's your thoughts on what I just said regarding like having an addictive personality? Do you have an addictive personality, or am I just talking nonsense right now? It's like I'm talking.
See, you know, I'm gonna bring astrology into the conversation at this point because my sun sign and my rising sign, which is basically how I identify myself and how I present to the world, is in this Taurus sign, which is a very earthy element, very calm, very grounded. I am very empathetic. I am very, cool, like level headed. There's very rare situations where I'll just like go off the top. But my moon sign, which has to do with my emotions and like my inner self, is the Aries. So Aries are very passionate, very fiery, very driven,
Okay.
very, highly obsessed. Want
Come
to
on.
be
Come
want to
on.
be number one. We're leaders
Okay.
in what we do, and that's where I get like a lot of my passion from.
Okay.
It is
Good
very
night.
internalized. I think, when folks see me in the room, I'm never the loudest in the room. But I am great at having one-on-one personal conversations.
Okay.
I'm really great at building relationships, building strategic partnerships, through, I think, how I make people feel as far as that emotional connection to folks, and really kind of um, assessing their emotions and pulling from their emotions to be able to serve them better, understanding, what do they need or how do they feel or what's important to them, and then building a relationship that way and a partnership that way. That's how I do it.
Interesting.
Very different approach.
No, it is, and we may have lost, some with the astrology, but hey, listen, we enjoying ourselves right here, and I want to get even deeper into that because I'm a Pisces, and I know there's some nonsense that is happening with Pisces. They say never date a Pisces man. Is that true?
What?
But we're gonna get to that. When one of the reasons why I came and moved to Canada was because there was a pain inside. There was a desire. I knew that there was something great. Not saying that my home country wasn't great. I just felt there was something great for me to do.
Yeah.
And it was birthed out of a sense of pain, sense of frustration. And I did the giant leap. This brings me to the question that I have for you. You seem very driven. Entrepreneurship seems like it's running through your veins.
Mm-hmm.
What was the pain for you that has sparked you going into the journey that you are? Maybe there was a pain, maybe it wasn't even the pain. I don't know. Like, what was it for you that's driving you to be, or that's drove you to stick with entrepreneur? Because you could have given up a long time ago. What was that initial moment, Fantanesh?
Honestly, I think like most entrepreneurs, specifically Black entrepreneurs, it comes out of necessity because, when I was going through college, I did not see myself represented. I took a health sciences program and I became a registered massage therapist. There was no other students that looked like me. None of the teachers looked like me. Graduated, got into the industry. None of the other, practicing RMTs or folks in the health and wellness industry looked like me. And then from there, you start to see who are the clientele. There's a whole demographic of people that are missing out from the benefits of holistic health in our communities. Because we don't have representation in our practitioners, there are no diverse clients that are coming in to get preventative and maintenance treatments, such as massage therapy, such as chiropractic, such as acupuncture, such as naturopathy. So I was like, no, this cannot be happening in my communities. So I realized that clients that looked like me did not feel comfortable in these clinics, in these spas, in these wellness spaces because the practitioners did not look like them. So I just took it upon myself to create a space where I could serve clients in a welcoming space, in a nurturing space, where they can come and get their health needs met and explore alternative health options that maybe their doctors are not telling them about, maybe that they're not speaking about in their communities, maybe that they just don't have the education or background on. And I took it upon myself to create that space. And a lot of the clients who were coming to see me came to see me because of what I looked like, because they felt comfortable in that space.
And I was going to ask, was it a case of where people came up to you and said, you know what, I wish I could get service from someone that looks like me?
100%. I have full-grown adults coming to me who have never had massage therapy before because it is such a vulnerable treatment. You're basically just naked there on a table. You want to make sure that the practitioner who's putting their hands on your body respects your body, understands you as a person, and understands maybe what some of your reservations may be, what some of your lived experiences may be, and can approach you in a therapeutic way and really offer the service in a different way. And so I really built my practice out of that. And I'm really proud of that.
No, I hear you. I see the Aries coming out saying, I'm very proud. Proud Aries right there.
I'm proud of that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Look, I don't follow, I don't read any of astrology. I might have, glimpsed some of the characteristics of certain signs. But why do they say not to be with a Pisces, man? I need you to really just unveil the truth right here. Please, liberate me. Liberate me. I'm stuck.
I don't know who's saying that, first of all, because it might be another air sign or a fire sign that might be saying it. But as an earth sign,
Yeah, why do you think, what are some of the disadvantages of Pisces that you would say?
Pisces men may have a trouble, I mean, it may have a challenge with committing because they are very much in a daydream, like as far as they think about everything, they dream about everything. Possibilities are endless. There's such empaths, um, and I think having so many options or so many possibilities and just being open to so much, um, and being able to empathize so much may make it hard to like reel it in and like commit to just one person and one like view or path of life. And I think maybe that's what the challenge is water signs are just so fluid and just so flowing and I think of my sister because she's a Pisces and just like
Shout out to your sister right here.
shout out to my sister.
$100 is going straight to her account for being Pisces. And for all those that are watching, if you're Pisces, check your account right now. Come on. What are you going to say about your sister?
I was saying Randall said it, not me. No $100 from me. It'd be from Randall. But that's maybe the only that's probably what I would maybe see as a challenge.
Gotcha.
is being so creative and daydreamy that it's hard to kind of ground them and reel them in to something.
Apparently they say they're very sensitive too, eh?
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say is, of course, we can't just do the negatives, you negative Nancy's out there. Come on, let's give a few positives of a Pisces. So what would you say is some of the strengths?
The empathy for sure. Like
Gotcha.
Yeah, their ability to connect with folks and anything on a very emotional level, and that sensitivity, that awareness, and almost a bit of a psychic ability, like being able to read the room, read people,
Gotcha.
and yeah, just that ability.
So it then begs the question: who should a Pisces be with? What's the perfect match, would you say? I know it's a silly question, but if we should answer the question.
Okay. So, I mean, I would have to know, there's so many specifics about each person, right? So like I'd have to know your sun, your moon, your rising, also your seventh house, which is your house of relationships. Which sign represents your seventh house? Because that would be who you personally would be most attracted to, and also where your Venus is. But generally speaking,
we need to do one-on-one consulting right there, because it sounds like you with a seventh house. I was like, do I have real estate I don't know about? You were going to continue that
yeah. Generally speaking, I do. Generally speaking, earth signs and Pisces and water signs are a good mix, because when you think of earth, when you think of soil and you think of water, the water is able to be absorbed by the earth and nourish the earth, and the earth is able to draw the water in. So it's a really nice balance of the signs. The earth signs are able to bring like stability and grounding to the water sign, and the water sign is able to bring a little bit more like possibility to the earth sign. So it's like a yin and a yang. It can be balanced really beautifully if the two people are willing to make that adjustment. If you have a water and a water, and two are very emotional, there's less opportunity for growth and less opportunity to really stretch yourself.
So earth sign, you say earth sign. What are some earth signs?
Virgos, Taurus, Capricorn, Yeah, I believe those are the three.
Got you, got you. So if you are one of those three, come on, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
well,
You might
no.
be in luck, but you also need to know what their seventh house is. You also need to know where their
Sure.
Venus is. So you
Seventh house. Because when I go out next weekend, I'm going to be asking them, hey, besides your name, dear, what is your seventh house? What?
I'll
Come on.
send you a link
Yeah.
after today and give you there's a website you can go on and get the full astrological reports, and they tell you, who you're most compatible with, where your seventh house is, what that all means, what you're most attracted to, who would complement you well. Yeah.
Have you ever done that where you met someone and you guys click, you guys really hit it off, and then when you go home, you guys go both home to your separate homes. You then pull out your big box of
Astrology
astrology,
tools
and then you do your research, huh?
every time. Every
Ah,
single time. Every time. And it really determines a lot. However, I will say this, because I know astrology so well and I know how each sign is represented in myself, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. It's, you know, can I look within myself and find the areas that connect most with this person? Or can I look at this person and best understand how they might need to um, be served, or how what they might need in a relationship, and can I offer that to them?
okay. So you've actually went forward with a relationship knowing that they were no good to you astrology wise, and you've
Don't call
continued.
me out. Jesus, I
Ah,
did. A couple of
okay.
times.
So this gives us hope. Listen, even if the astrology doesn't work out, even if it doesn't make sense, it can still work out, eh? It
it
can still
can
happen.
it can still, you have to have two very self-aware people, and two people who are willing to make it work. And it's like that in anything, even without astrology. If you have one person who is willing to do all the work and one person who's not, it's going to be challenging. For me, I also use astrology and not other tools as well to ask, is this person going to be able to fulfill my needs as well? Like, I used to be so focused on, can I fill their needs based on the information that's there? But I think it's also really important to say, are they where I need them to be to fill my needs, or are they, as a person, as character and behaviors and personality, going to mesh well with who I am as my core, because
Yeah.
that's really what's gonna outlive everything.
Interesting. And I know needs can sound very needy. Excuse the pun, but like when I think of needs, I think of desires that we have. What would you say is one of, because you're just saying when you meet someone, can I fulfill their needs, but also can they fulfill my needs?
Mhm.
What is, for example, one desire that you have when it comes to needing to be fulfilled?
Just one.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Ah, look at this laundry list over here. No, but I hear you. I hear you. I know there's many, but
Okay, like stability, security are like my top two, and then emotional empathy and awareness is probably my second. Like, I have to know that you're, in a space and a place where you are stable and secure. I mean, there's certain things that I understand we grow together and we try to accomplish together, but do you have the capacity to do like kind of that daily grind, like of showing up to work? And do you have like a stable job? Do you have a pretty consistent schedule? Are you like predictable? um Not predictable in a boring sense, but like, you know kind of like, do you have your life together a little bit,
yeah, yeah, yeah. You can cuss, you can do whatever you need to do on this one.
do you have your
Uh,
shit together?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I totally hear you, and it's crazy how the dating game has changed from back then to where it is right now. And I'm not sure how old you are, but I assume you are, over 20 at least.
Yeah. 30, 32. I'll be 33 in May.
No, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Have you seen the transition going from where it was to where it is? Like, what's your view on this? Like, where was it when you started, and where it's now?
The dating scene in
Yeah,
general. I think as I age, um, and now, of course, having children as well, um, the dating pool is like much smaller for me, for sure. Um, and as far as like the online dating and just having,
I can
just
feel the pain in your voice when you just said
oh,
online dating right there. I hear you. I hear you.
it's just a mess. Like it's just,
I hear
having
you.
so many options and not knowing if people are really, serious or committed. Um, it feels like such a game sometimes, like just such a
Mm.
game.
So
Um, yeah.
I hear you. That's how it is right now. Back, like when you think back, how was it back then for you? Like in terms of just the way women and men interact, etc., relationship wise.
You know what? I do not have the best track record with relationships. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at like, generationally or like, parents,
Yeah, yeah.
folks get into
We're not going to
relationships
call
and
any exes out
partnerships.
right now. Oh no, we're not going to call you out. We're not going to give you any
No.
airtime here. Oh no. Yeah.
No, I think, folks get into partnerships because of economical reasons, because of maybe religious reasons,
Hmm.
and there was really like a sacred unit of like getting together and like building a family and just like riding it out to the end. And
Yeah.
just now, just like every other day, someone's getting a divorce. People are just like splitting up left, right, and center. There's just so many options for as like DMs and things goes, and it's like, um, you kind of after a bit of
Hmm.
time get
You
cynical.
said a magical word right there. You said DMs.
DM,
DMs. Yes.
yeah.
It sounds like, is your DMs flooding? Is there did the Red Sea split and there's a flood in your DMs?
Oh my God.
Or is
When I
there a desert? Is it the River Nile? Is it the Blue Nile right there? Or what is it? Huh?
no, like when I would say probably like maybe pre-COVID,
Hmm.
my DMs were pretty hot. Like, but lately it is like the freaking like Sahara Desert.
Sure, it's
My DMs
sandy over
are
there. Eh?
dry. It is.
There's some sand on your face. Just wipe off here.
Oh Jesus! Like honestly, like I was even telling my girlfriends last night, like my phone has never been this dry. Like what am I giving off? Like I don't understand.
Ah, I have to put the phone in the shower. I have to make it wet myself. You say, huh? Right. No,
Literally.
no, but
But
I hear you.
it's
I hear
fine.
you.
When you become more intentional about
Yeah,
about dating and what you put out there,
yeah,
there's less that's coming at you. Like
yeah.
because people I think realize or you give off the perception of what you'll tolerate and what you won't tolerate. So it kind of does its own filtering. And I'm like, dang.
It's almost like we are, and I'm not talking about you or myself, but just in general, it's almost like we are addicted to drama. When things are peaceful, when things are relaxed, when things are calm, it's like something is off here, man. We need some drama in our lives. Let me get into a toxic relationship. Why does this sound so familiar? Huh?
Oh geez, that's a
Yeah.
whole, series on its own. Yeah. And I know you did some YouTube stuff. Actually, I have definitely watched some of your YouTube snips about like dating and commitments and staying
Yeah.
single like for a season and I agree with all of it. I think, once once you become comfortable with who you are and comfortable with, being alone, and you discover your passions and your interests and how you can fill your time,
Mhm.
you start giving less access to yourself. And it's not even intent, it's not even doing it on purpose. Like, it's just, the caliber of person who maybe feels like they can reach out, it just becomes much less.
Much less, eh?
Hmm. Yeah.
Man, if you could wave a magic wand, what would come out of that wish? Huh?
For me right now, always
Yeah.
lots of money.
It's so
So
funny. You mentioned earlier about, maybe she's with him or you with her for economic reasons. It was a good way of saying gold digger right there, but that's not what you're saying. Oh no, don't get it twisted now. Don't get it twisted.
oh no, no. Did you say magic wand about personally in life, or in a partner?
But in a partner, because we're not currently on the partner topic, but you know what?
Oh,
You said money for life, but in a partner,
in a
what would be?
partner. Um, I do like the emotional awareness, and I enjoy being pursued. I think that is like such a nice,
Sure.
um, way to show interest. I love chivalry too, like, hold the doors open, like,
Hmm.
check in. People sometimes feel like they're too clingy if they text or blow up or call a lot, and I love that, like, amount of attention. So
Sure. She
that's
says
what I
she likes to be pursued and she wants to feel like the prey. If you're watching this, gentleman, he wants to feel, I'm just picturing a lion and a gentle gazelle in the Sahara right there. Ah,
tap into your natural instincts and go after what you want. Go after the prize. I think that's like so attractive.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, it is. And I think, in today's society, men either wouldn't approach because of rejection, past
Yeah.
rejection leading up to
Yeah.
now, because they see Fantanesh right there in the grocery store, and this is that one of those old school love. You still see her in the grocery store. She's in the vegetable section, looking at the, all the carrots, the cucumbers, um, and you see her and you think, I want to approach her so bad right now, but I can't because the last girl I approached and I desired blew me off, and my heart was crushed.
Right.
What would you tell that man right there? Huh?
I would say just go for it. Like, rejection is part of, like, the human
Life.
experience. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's part of the process. I, and I think I do value when we kind of go old school with that piece of dating, and when the men are approaching,
Mm.
and I might say no, the first time, um, but I kind of like the persistence. Like, I want to know, like, that I'm not just, you just saw me and you liked me for like a second. Like, maybe I'll come back to that grocery store if you see me again. Remind me,
Sure.
like, hey, I saw you. Like,
Why are the grocery stores so filled with women this weekend? Why? Based on your advice right there, huh? So
Ah,
no. I have to backtrack and I have to ask you. You said you might say no the first time. I almost feel like a police report may have been filled out if they come second, the third, the fourth, the fifth time back. A restraining order is needed. So what do you mean by the first time? Say no.
I think, you know, there's a lot of factors that might influence the first no. Like, the thought might go through a woman's head, like, do you just do this to everybody? I don't, maybe I don't know you well enough. Like, you know, there's a lot that goes through, at least for me personally. But I would say, like, if it happens, two or three times, you know, you're probably gonna get the answer that you're looking for.
A
Yeah.
big hard no. That could be a possibility.
No,
But I
I mean,
hear you. I
everyone's
agree.
different.
I
From
agree.
your perspective as a man also,
Hmm.
like how does it feel when it comes to pursuing? Like is that something that you think men are still interested in, or do you feel like there's more um, of like a expectation that women do more of the pursuing nowadays?
It's interesting, and I'd love your thoughts on this, Fantanesh. With everything that's happening on social media right now and online, it almost seems like both genders wants to feel like the prize,
Yeah,
which is leading no genders to approach. One is expecting the other one to, and the other one is expecting the other one to.
yeah.
What was the question again? I,
Like, do you think men are still comfortable with the pursuit? Like,
yeah.
or I guess, yeah, like, or are they expecting women to do more of the pursuing?
It really depends on the type of man, the caliber of man, the life of stage he's in. When you're younger, you do the approaching. When you
Yeah,
are older, you're expecting now for there to be um, more of a subtle way. When you're young, you turn 18, 19, you're like, oh, you know what? I can't wait to meet these women. And you go to the club, you go whatever, you go approach, you hit on this one, you hit on that one. But then when you get into your late 20s, your early 30s, you realize, hey, I've got to have more finesse with this. I've got to have a little bit more swag with this, right? So
yeah,
maybe it's a case of now, you sitting at the bar, you have your drink, and now you wait for that eye contact to come. And once that eye contact stays more than 1 second and she's giving you that indicator, hey, I'm feeling you, then that's kind of the opportunity to go in for that prey, as you mentioned. Uh, go in for the kill.
yeah,
But I think when you're younger, you don't care if you get any indicators; you just go for it. But I think when you get older, it's you kind of wait for those indicators to come and then make your move.
yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
yeah, I mean, rejection is a big thing. And I know, you're not a guy, but you can put yourself in our shoes.
yeah,
When you are rejected, similar to being an entrepreneur, when you are rejected for a long time, it does take a toll on you.
yeah.
So I guess hence why we wait for those indicators also to say, hey, I'm not going to waste my time here going up to everyone and just getting rejected. Let's get those indicators. What is some of the game that women have? How does a man know when a woman is interested?
Oh, good question. Good question. I'm only starting to explore like flirting now. Like I've always been super like shy and if people make eye contact, I would just look away instantly. But um I think, if you're reaching out to a lady and she is responsive, she's interested in you. If you don't hear from her
Hmm.
for I mean give her some grace. Like everyone's busy. Like I don't think of myself. If I don't respond for hours,
How about you, Fantanesh? If you see a guy you like, how do you let him know that you are interested? Like you are out now, you are outside, and you kind of physically outside, not online, but physically. How would you go about letting him know?
I would give eye contact for sure.
Okay.
Um that's about as far as
As
I'm
far as
getting.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
opening the door and you can approach me and we can have a conversation. And I love the conversation piece. Like if I'm giving you eye contact and you come over and we're having like a really good conversation about nothing, you know, um, about like let can I have your number right away, like if we're just having just regular banter and we
Mm,
kind of get to feel each other's vibe, like that's what I love
yeah.
as far as conversation. Then you can ask for the number at the end.
Man,
um
the vibe is so important, eh?
yeah,
Like, what is it about the vibe that gives you the green light?
I love a good listener because obviously I love to talk. I love a good listener,
Just
but
shut up, gentlemen. Shut up. Just keep your mouth.
um, it's hard to um, it's hard to explain. I think it's just something that is so kind of like it feels comfortable. If it doesn't feel forced, you
Mm,
know. Um, yeah,
gotcha.
I think it's just like an internal like
Yeah.
energy kind of connection. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like when you said it mustn't be forced, it must just be natural. I think if it happens naturally, then you kind of know, eh? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah,
vibe is there.
yeah, I know. And I think we're all kind of searching for that vibe because many a times things are manufactured and you can just feel it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
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 But
It's
not
so true.
but hey, listen, now, I know that you are currently, of course, through the transition, and thanks for sharing that with us. And if you're still watching right now, thanks for spending your time with myself and Fantanesh, giving us your heartbeat. We've got around 10 more minutes left, and then we're going to say adios. But before we do that, I want to get a little bit more conversation out here. Fantanesh, I know that you're currently going through the transition right now. Thanks for sharing that with us. Uh,
Mhm.
you say soulpreneur. I was trying to search online, what does a soulpreneur mean? What I came up with was an entrepreneur of the soul. Um, Someone is watching this right now and they may be going through a similar situation where they're either starting over, where they
Mhm.
were either knocked down and they're not sure how to get back up again. For
Mhm.
that individual that's watching right now, I know you've encouraged us so much, but for that individual, what would you say to that individual spirit that's watching right now?
Mhm. Um, First, I want to say that, being knocked down is part of the process of entrepreneurship. Um, if you seek out any one of your idols or people that you look up to in terms of, entrepreneurs or leaders or business owners that have been in the game for 10 plus years, they're going to tell you how many times they've been knocked down.
Hmm.
Um, they're going to be honest about it and they're going to say it's just a part of the process. So don't feel like because you maybe had to take a step back or things didn't turn out the way that you had hoped, that it's throwing in the towel, because it's definitely part of the steps that you have to take to get to success.
Yeah,
So you just learn from it, take the time that you need to recover, and then find a solution, and find a different path to still do what you're passionate about.
yeah,
Um, and as far as the soulpreneur piece goes, I only want to do things in entrepreneurship and in business that resonate with my soul and my passions, um, because I think that that is the thread that's going to pull you through, and give you that longevity and that sustainability.
yeah,
Um, because I love to help people, because I believe in wellness and alternative health, and holistic health, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. Um, and I believe everyone can achieve that. And I believe that I can help people achieve that.
mhm,
That's what's kind of pulling me through. And I'm only being led by what speaks to my soul.
mhm,
So I'm only taking opportunities that are aligned with my passions and what my skills are, and what my gifts are, and what I like just flat out like to do. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to,
yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
be in spaces or um, have relationships or connections or be exerting energy into things that I don't like.
yeah.
Um,
It's
and
like
so
almost feels like another prison, you.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And to be truthful, that's what the commercial space felt like. I felt like, even though it was a dream to have it, maybe my intentions or the reason I desired to have it was not necessarily, um, uh, I don't know what the word is, but it was
Yeah. I guess for lack of a better word, it maybe it wasn't meant. I don't know.
it felt ego driven and not
Gotcha.
soul
Gotcha.
driven to have
Gotcha.
that commercial space. You know, I wanted to have a commercial space so I could sit back, hands off, and never have to work again. But
Mm.
it wasn't, um, and it wasn't necessarily because of the amount of people that I wanted to serve. And then that's why the day to day tasks of it, the operations and the management, um, was really difficult. And I felt more time. I was spending more time in the operations and the management, which is stuff that I did not like, as
Gotcha.
opposed to the actual one-on-one relationships when I'm in the treatment room and when I'm, speaking to a crowd and helping them, be inspired and be creative when it comes to their wellness.
Mm.
So my passion was decreasing in that commercial space. And I felt that. I felt I was moving further away from what I love to do because I was so involved with the other tasks.
Yeah.
Um, so, for entrepreneurs who are feeling knocked down,
Mm.
I would encourage you to go back to what it is you're passionate about, because it's always going to be that passion, that natural skill set that you have, those natural interests that are
Yes.
going to drive you and sustain you and carry you through.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Come on. Come on. Listen, it sounds like you going back to basics right now, back to your roots, back to the instinctual side of Fantanesh, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
The deconstructing, the taking off the ego part of business and going back to, why am I actually here?
yeah.
What is my gift to the world? How can I serve people
Mm.
in a way that's easy for me and natural for me? Because when it's not easy and it's not natural, it's hard work.
It is. It's like an uphill climb. It's like a drag. It's like,
It's a
I
drag.
don't want to be here anymore.
100%.
Man,
It's the burnout. It's the
man.
burnout. Yeah.
You know, I was going to say something there. It's the burnout, and a part of me really wants to know, how can one support you right now with a Sacred Lotus and you as an individual. For someone that's watching right now and they wonder, you know what, I like this individual. I know she mentioned money in the beginning, and we're not going to go there. That was just, in life we'd like to have money, but in what ways can we yeah, to chuckle for that one. Yeah. How can we support you?
I would ask if you want to support, just to follow our Instagram page, um, which is sacredlotus.holistic wellness.
We'll put the link
Um,
in the bio. We'll put
oh
the link.
yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
Engage there. We have a lot of free, no money. This is not about money. We have a lot of conversations, a lot of posts around what is holistic health. I share a lot of tips about how you can take small steps each day to live a healthier life, whether it's mentally,
Uh,
whether it's physically or emotionally.
sure.
I chat a lot about the spiritual health, which I think when we talk about holistic health,
Mm.
folks want to remove the spiritual part of it, which is a major part of our overall health. Like, how do we
Mm.
connect with our spirit? And it doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean religion. It's about what, lights up your spirit. What do you feel like most connected to? Like,
Mm.
what really fills you up from the inside?
Sure.
Making sure that you nourish that and you nurture that. Um, that's really,
How we can support, eh? And
yeah,
how can we support you as a person, Fantanesh? Besides business now.
me as a person. If 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 you ever want to chat, if you ever want to, I love conversations, I love
Sure.
relationships, I love connecting to people.
Okay.
So, if you ever want to like shoot a DM,
Gotcha.
good morning, or I had a question about this, or whatever. I love conversations. I think we can really get glimpses of something other than the plane that we're in, and kind of this day-to-day, schedule and mundane
Hustle
through.
and bustle, yeah.
What's that?
No, the hustle and bustle, yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all kind of live in this, like, just like the structured um plane of just, yeah, that day to day. And when I think we get glimpses of like inspiration and possibility and motivation through small connections and small conversations, which I live for. Sometimes I go in the elevator
Oh
and I
man.
just be talking to people like, how's your day going? How's your morning? There's a lot of times when I'm just in my, bubble, and I don't talk to people.
Mhm.
But when you do, and like, it's just so interesting, the connections. And I find it's a glimpse of divinity. That's what I like. You see something divine in these small conversations that, if you just take that moment to just
Hmm.
um, say hello, how's your day going? I
That's
love this.
man, so true. Just the phrase that you mentioned just sparked an idea in my mind, which will probably have to be trademarked. You said glimpse of divinity. Isn't that such a beautiful, like it's a brand. It's, I can see it yet.
Mhm.
Glimpse of divinity.
Yeah,
Um, so true. I would also, just to add on to what you mentioned, the power of a hug.
yeah.
And I'm not just talking about any hug, not the church hugs that the ladies give you at the church, because they're not really interested in you and just give you the. I'm talking about the hug where when you hug someone and you just let your shoulders down
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
can feel your shoulders just rest in that hug.
Yeah.
Whether you have someone or not, I'd encourage you, even just take a pillow, take something big.
Hmm.
And when you hug that thing, you will feel it's a similar experience. You will feel a connection that you wish you tried longer. So if you're watching this right now, I want to encourage you, have at least one of those hugs as soon as you can. If you can't with someone, grab a pillow, grab one of those big teddy bears if you have, and just let your shoulders down, man.
You know, when babies are born, newborns, there's something that they always tell us to do with newborns. It's called skin to skin. So you
Mm,
take the anterior of the baby and, their chest, and you lay it on your chest, and it's that anterior, like, it's the nervous system, their nervous system to your nervous system. And this
okay.
is what happens when we hug as well, when we do that embrace.
Mm,
Someone else's nervous system and my nervous system becomes, connected, and we have that ability to really shift the energy of the person, to
sure.
calm them down, and to really connect in this way. So hugs are so powerful. Hugs are such, when you talk about glimpses of divinity, a hug, a nice, like,
Yeah.
more than a couple second, not the pat on the back, but like an
Uh-uh.
intentional hug
Yeah.
can bring up a lot, release a lot, and calm a lot of people.
It is, and the way you're talking about it, it sounds like there is scientific backing behind
Yeah,
the
yeah,
power of a hug. The
yeah.
power of a hug. Listen, it makes me want to go hug someone right now. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep my eyes open for a hugger. Who are you gonna be hugging? Are you gonna be hugging someone today? Are you
I'll
gonna be
hug
hugging?
everybody that I
Come on!
see for the rest of the day.
Wow! Petrol attendants, cashiers at grocery stores. Come on, you gotta.
Everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woman,
Yeah,
hide your kids. Yeah, no, but I hear you. I hear you. Listen, it was a joy having you on. And man, oh man, we've touched on an array of topics, from your entrepreneur life, your family life, your how your experience dating,
yeah.
and the fact that you will never date a Pisces man. I'm really upset, but hey, you know what?
What? I didn't
It
say that.
is.
You
It
said that.
is what it is. You called us. You called us sensitive. You called us daydreaming. You called us indecisive. What more
I
can a
did
man?
not.
Oh, yeah.
Run it back. Run it back. I did not say none of that.
I hear you. But yeah, according to her, you need to do it more than once. So I'll try again. I'll try again. But hey, Fantanesh, any last words before we say goodbye?
I just want to thank you first, Randall, for inviting me on and for creating space in my Sunday to have this, meaningful and thought-provoking and heart-led conversation. I always value like an opportunity to take time out of the mundane to have something that's more connected, and I value this conversation. And thank you to the listeners for tuning in. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it, and I hope for more connections in the future.
No, absolutely. Thanks again for joining, Fantanesh. I told you, or I shared with you in the beginning, listen, I want this conversation to be really one that is not artificial. I'd like it to be where it's genuine. And for me, that's important. You've made that realization of my dream true this afternoon. I thank you for that. And I can see a part 2 in the future. Maybe it will be in person, maybe it will be again online, but I can see a part 2. And for those that still for those that's still watching, listen, we want to thank you. Like we always say, we are not here just to survive. We are here to thrive. And until next time, peace.